So we're rounding around the big toe and we're coming around the little piggy toes there. You can notice that these stitches are not incredibly tight. Here, I'll show you. They move pretty easy. And what I'll do is I will put my awl underneath here and I'll try not to scratch the leather. And then I'll yank all the way down, all the way around until I can gather up all of the excess thread so that it'll be a nice uniform tight stitch, because these stitches are really loose, and that's only because I haven't cinched them down. And I do have, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but in here I have a little deviation, and I will be pounding this seam a little bit. I take a a box end wrench, jam it up in there, then I take a hammer and I will form that toe a little bit and smooth it out. Otherwise you're going to have your toe crammed up against the seam. Now you can see inside here, I think, yet you're going to hit some of them bumps down in there, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see those on camera, but there's some bumps, and I want to smooth those out. So I'll smack them with a hammer. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some stitches just like I'm here all by myself in my kitchen sewing, and I'll try to keep you in the picture a little bit, okay? But what you do is very carefully put the needle through, and if it does not go through, that just means that you have to clear the hole out a little bit. No big deal. See how it go through? I'll do the next one too, the next couple. Sure I will. There it is. Of course, you kind of want to keep your fingers and awl away from each other so they'll never meet, because when they do, suddenly you get a little bit more color on your leather with your blood. Okay, now I have ordered a 1mm punch that will punch. It's a hollow punch that'll actually remove material. So I think that is going to just be wonderful, because I won't have to worry about any of these punched holes collapsing. So now I'm just checking to where I'm at, because I've lost track. So I'm inside. Pull that a little tighter. I've got to come through the top here, see if I can find a hole. This is a little time consuming. It really is. It's not a fast, easy. It's not easy. It's hard on the piggies. The little piggies start to hurt. You have to take breaks. It's not something you're going to. Well, maybe you will. Maybe your fingers are a lot tougher, but I found that it really makes your fingers hurt. Nothing else though. I mean, unless you got a couple holes in the ends of your fingers from these awls or the needles. See how everything grabs onto things. So there that one is, that stitch, and you can leave it like that because you don't have to really super tighten it. In fact, it makes it a little easier for the next stitch if you I'm gonna open that one up. And again, once I get that punch, that hollow punch, that will remove a little bit of this leather. I think that it'll go a lot quicker, because locating the holes, it's time consuming. And through there, see how it grabs everything. So you can see that that everything's kind of uniform, and it did work out with a 1/4 inch. Every time I just went a 1/4 inch, and that's a pretty good measurement for this, is a 1/4 inch. I don't know about the longevity. Now I don't know if I should be doing a different stitch where everything gets tied either, because I've heard that sometimes some manufacturers will actually knot each one. I won't. I don't know how. So this will have to work, right? So you can do a little bit of adjusting and fine-tuning as you're working. Get your needle back, go for the next one. And, you know, sometimes it's just quicker to just reopen that hole with the awl. Boy, tight. And I think that when I have the 1mm hole, the thread will pass through and the needle will pass through much easier too. I just think that it's a much easier deal. But I'll do this one last stitch and then I'll turn you off and I'll just run around the next side here. And I will show you how when I tighten it up with the awl, when I go through and I pull all these stitches tight, I'll show you what that looks like. Now coming around the pinky toe, so this is going to be a little bit hard to do. Going around the toes is always hard. You gotta keep track of where your thread is. There we go. That's where we're at. Now I can pull, you watch, you can tighten that. And it does not look like it's going to work. It looks like, oh my god, look at that mess. But you have to work the stitches. You have to work everything and get it all straightened back around. And you can see that they're fairly uniform. And of course they'll move a little bit once I tighten them up. So we'll come back when I'm done a little bit more stitching.